All right, let's just jump right in. Welcome to this explainer of Looking at the Cosmos, a truly phenomenal, poetic piece of text by Bananda Das. If you've ever stood outside, looked up at a completely clear night sky, and felt that weird mix of being incredibly tiny but also deeply connected to the entire universe, well, this text absolutely nails that exact feeling. We're going to deconstruct how Das bridges the gap between the infinite scale of the cosmos and the super intimate space of the human heart, using some brilliant repetition and rhythm. So let's break down how all these massive concepts weave together.
When my spirit cries, "You take away my pain." Boom! We are starting right in the deep end. Before we ever get launched into the vastness of space, we're grounded immediately in intense human vulnerability. We all know that feeling, right? That isolating pain, and then the sheer relief when someone specific just steps in and shares the load. This sets the absolute foundation of the piece. It tells us right out of the gate that this isn't just some cold, abstract philosophy about astronomy. It's intensely personal. It's about a dynamic where one person is literally the healing salve for the other.
So let's map this out. Part 1, the cosmic canvas, stars and spirit.
There's this incredible core tension running through the whole piece. Think about how space is normally used in literature. Usually, it's to make us feel small and totally insignificant. But here, the vastness of the universe does the exact opposite. On one hand, you have these massive, mind-bending concepts, the cosmos, the universe, the metaphorical crown of life. But right up against them, you have a crying spirit, physical pain, the delicate inner workings of the mind. The text is constantly bouncing between the macro and the micro, basically saying that these two extremes aren't actually separate at all. They're totally intertwined. And it leads to this profound realization. Looking at the cosmos, I saw the stars, the brightest, the beautiful, and I found your love, your words, your thoughts, the power of faith. I mean, get this, the author is physically looking at the stars, but suddenly, the stars aren't just balls of burning gas anymore. They become a literal mirror reflecting the person they love. In all that cosmic emptiness, they don't find a void. They find the essence of another human being. It's a beautiful way of showing that sometimes looking out into the universe is absolutely the best way to look inward.
Which brings us right to part 2, Birth of the Self, the Inner Universe.
This whole cosmic connection acts as a massive catalyst. It triggers a totally new state of being, which the text calls the birth of myself. And this awakening isn't random. It's a very specific domino effect. First, the senses in my mind wake up. This sharp new perception leads directly to learning about the universe. Once you have that knowledge, you attract the crown of life. And the ultimate endgame of this entire sequence? Changing my destiny. Literally rewriting the future based on this newly awakened state. But this raises a pretty massive question. You can't rewrite your destiny if you're chained to your history. The text introduces the idea that the world is past, and it acts exactly like a gravitational pull, super heavy and unrelenting. So how do you actually escape that gravity? How do you move forward to experience this inner rebirth? When I forget my past, I see your universe in my mind. I absolutely love this answer. It's direct cause and effect. We usually think of forgetting as a bad thing, right? Like a failure or losing a piece of ourselves. But here, letting go is the absolute prerequisite for connection. You have to literally empty your mind of that heavy past just to make enough room to hold something as massive as someone else's universe. Moving on to part 3, information, art, and fragility. We've spent a lot of time on eternal, infinite things. But now, the narrative takes a really sobering turn. The author talks about losing information, but we're not talking about computer data here. In this context, information is the fading essence of a person. It's those fragile fragments of memory. It's the tragic realization that even our deepest connections are constantly being eroded by time. People change, memories get blurry, and the very details that make us who we are slowly begin to slip away. The text states bluntly that human works are just creation. They exist and disappear. Talk about a reality check. We just talked about stars that burn for billions of years. And then we have us. Our memories, our forms, our creations, they're completely ephemeral. We get this brilliant, brief little flash, and then we're gone. But it's not all doom and gloom. Despite how fragile everything is, specific human creations act as these vital anchors. The author talks about finding stability in the other person's art, their image, their movies, their works of creation. When the noise gets too loud or the gravity of the past tries to pull them back down, these tangible fragments of art cut through the fog.
They actually make the author's mind clear, which perfectly sets up Part 4, the rhythmic pulse, passion and heat. Throughout all this cosmic philosophy, there's been this steady physical grounding. My heart is beating for you. 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 Hearing this phrase repeated 4 times in a row, it stops being just a sentence. It becomes a literal drumbeat. It reminds us that this isn't just some intellectual exercise. This is a primal, undeniable physical reaction to another human being. Time is away, and I love you, I dreamt about you, I love you, I attracted you. We just talked about the tragedy of time disappearing, but right here, in this rush of pure passion, time ceasing to exist is actually a good thing. The author is entirely swallowed up by the present moment. It's a rapid-fire, magnetic outpouring of emotion, rushing us right toward the grand finale.
6. Literally, just 6. That is the exact number of times a single word is chanted at the very end of the piece.
Heat, 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 heat. It completely shatters the poetic flow we were used to. It's an abrupt, massive shift in tempo and temperature. Think about the journey here. We started gazing out at the cold, distant stars, we traveled inward through the fragility of memory, and we crash-land right here into pure, unadulterated heat. It is such a visceral, breathtaking way to close out the text.
So I'm going to leave you with this to chew on. What does this final burst actually mean? When the personal and the cosmic finally collide, is this the heat of human passion burning at its absolute peak? Is it the friction of finally burning away the past? Or has the author literally just become one with the stars they were staring at in the very beginning? Honestly, it could absolutely be all 3. Thanks so much for diving into this explainer with me. Until next time, keep looking up.